Welcome to the Chrome and Ice Show. I'm Tyler Chrome, if you didn't already know, and if you didn't already know, this is Ice.
What's up?
Alright, so first, a little bit about who we are, how we met. Southern boy from Memphis, Tennessee. Went out to University of Arkansas to go to college, where I met who I did not know beforehand. It was going to be my freshman roommate,
Your boy.
Ice, and we had a blast. We had a good time in college. I'll let him tell a little bit
For
about.
sure, man. We had a great time. In college. Well, I was born out of the States. I was born in Iran and then moved to America in like 99, 2000, followed the American dream, all that. Wanted to go to Arkansas. I came up here. Got lucky because the majority of everyone can tell that's been in college. Freshman year with your roommates was such a drag. And dude, we got so lucky with those matchups. And, I got Chrome with me. And so we got really lucky after that. And the experiences that came from it, and the fact that we still graduated on time, man, just like redefines like the value of like what we had and how fortunate we were. But man, we can't be excited to tell you guys about the stories and the mistakes that we made and learned from.
Yeah, the
from
ups
those
and
times.
downs.
Yeah.
It taught us a lot. I mean, I really think I made a big transition from boy to man during that time in college. So there'll be some other episodes too. We won't talk as much today about college, but there'll be some other episodes where we go through some. We tried the fraternity thing.
Yeah. For a little bit.
Yeah, for a little bit. It wasn't necessarily the best fit for us. Everyone's got to find their fit and stuff.
Absolutely.
We'll go through that other stuff about college in a different episode. But for today, one of the things that we want to first start off with is the fail of the day.
Oh, yes.
Somebody who needs to get their together.
For real.
Get their shit
For
together.
real.
All right, Johnny Manziel. That's who we're going with today. Johnny Football.
Man.
Mr.
not really.
Superstar.
What?
Mr. Texas. That's, by the way, we are shooting from San Antonio, Texas now. Ice lives in Dallas for now, and I live in San Antonio, but we're shooting in San Antonio. So talking about another Texas boy, Johnny Manziel. He got released from the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
This man's had.
God knows how many incidents.
Oh, he's went through. He's like a circus. He's like a walking circus.
Easy.
He had people had their stuff to say about him in college, but he did well in college and really didn't cause too much of a problem. Then he gets to the NFL. This guy goes to rehab last summer.
It was for alcohol, right?
Alcohol. Yeah, that's what they said that it was for. So this guy can't stop drinking. You're given an opportunity that. I know. I played football growing up. But in high school, I would have killed to have the opportunity this guy has, and because of partying of all things, that's what. I mean, he's seen out. He can't go to a club without getting seen. He's Johnny Football.
So what's the point? Like you have that.
You're throwing away so much to party.
Yeah, he changed the college game, man. Like he changed the SEC, and coming from an Arkansas fan, like he killed us.
Yeah, it was not fun watching the Razorbacks play A&M when we were in school.
And dude, he had so much to live for. Like people say, he's too short, or he was not gonna be able to see above the offensive line. If he came back and like proved them wrong, and like the amount of like name he would have created himself, like. I'm not saying like he's as equal to or relatable to like Russell Wilson, but like having like a physical disadvantage of not being tall enough, like he could have lived up and like followed that route. You don't see like Russell like just messing around. Yes, he's gone to his ways, but I mean he treated the NFL like it was like the college life that like from Monday, Tuesday you can do whatever you want, and on the weekend if you don't have a game, you can go out. But man, he had so much what everyone always wanted, but he just threw it away. And I think I don't think he knew what he's doing until it's too late. It's like you kept on drinking and like you keep going and doing whatever, and your weeks get mixed up and all that jazz. And that's people are like, man, the time flew by so fast. It's like, yeah, you were doing the same shit every day. Like you were caught up in the same thinking process, and after
he took his college thinking to the pros,
it didn't
which is
grow.
Not gonna work. Yeah, it's like the cliche phrase, but you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah, literally,
it is gone now.
Manziel's perspective.
That is his past few years. And now he's released, and word on the on the street is he's not going to be picked up by another team anytime soon. No one's interested in him.
It's a risky investment.
And the NFL is even like starving for a lot of teams are starving for good quarterbacks right now, and they're still not interested in him.
Yeah.
That's how much this guy's ruined his reputation. So to me, at the end of it, it just comes to step up, be
a grown-ass man.
A man realizes when he has to cut the BS or sacrifice some things that he may want to do for stuff that he needs to do. You know, the decisions he's making right now, they don't only affect him, they affect his family's name, his future kids and wife. Everything he does, they know about in the future. They're gonna know
Dad,
about.
you're an alcoholic, and it's like everywhere. It was known.
everywhere.
I'm not trying to be too pessimistic, but dude, that's just gonna drag on.
Because you don't know what it's like until you're in their shoes, and we are not in their shoes. So by no means are we saying we would be so much better than he is in his position.
No, because I would do the partying too, but like
we had our fair share of college being on our level.
But I feel like when an opportunity comes to you and it's that big, like I feel like it should absolutely consume you, you know, like to play in the NFL. And then maybe, you know, he had that role too in college and that fame, but I don't know, I guess he just didn't like value it as much as other people in that position or outsiders like us, you know. So it's tough to tell and like try to give, you know, some sort of empathy or even at minimum show some sympathy to him, but it's hard to because one, most of us have never even been there, and two, the ones that we do see that are in there and they do better than that, we're like, why can't you do it? It's not like you had struggles going against you or like odds against you. You chose to go out and you chose to risk, you know, people potentially taping you or you getting too drunk and getting out of hand, or you not being at meetings and not showing up on time, or not being the first one into the practice and the last one out. Because that's some, like, I'm not too much into the team, but that's some quarterback like responsibilities. Like you are like the heart of the offense, so you know you gotta you know do some real like self-recognition before you do some sort of commitment. And I get it, the money and the spotlight really like distracts you, and you think that's the primary thing when that's just bonus in life. What the actual thing is being remembered for something good and the positive influence that you've had in football. You know,
your legacy.
Yeah, you know, like what they're gonna remember you of Manziel. They're gonna remember first Manziel in A&M, or are they gonna remember Manziel in the NFL? In his pro career and how he just self-destructed himself. You know, and yeah, as much as I don't like Manziel, dude, I really want to remember him as the elite quarterback that he was in the SEC.
A small guy that proved people wrong.
Proved everyone wrong, you know? And and for all the little guys or people that don't think they can't play a position, he was the ideal, like, image of what it is and the possibilities you can be, you know? And that's if I ever want to be a quarterback one day, you know? Like Johnny Manziel did it.
You can relate it to any situation where you're kind of like the comeback kid, or you're the kid
underdog.
the underdog, or you know, you can relate it to many situations. And so he has to realize too that he's a role model for kids, not just his future kids, but just kids now in general.
They're being exposed to
it. I mean, people, so especially with social media, you have to understand it's a different time than it used to be too. Everything you do is out there.
Like that.
It is out there immediately, especially if you're a superstar, you know?
Sure, and I think it's crazy how he went from the image of an underdog to a, you know, notorious to almost borderline infamous person that's like deemed as like a villain in the NFL. You know, like everyone, this was a Johnny Football spirit to bring back Texas football, the Texas name, and then he just went into the sellout and like what people despise of like his smirk on his face, when honestly he might have had a chip on his shoulder.
He cared more about, it seemed like he cared more about partying and money than even football.
Yeah, you know, and honestly maybe the kid was just distracted. You know, there's a lot of people make mistakes and they can't recover from, you know?
You gotta remember, he's only 23.
Yeah.
Too.
We're our age.
We're 23. We understand, we don't have all of our shit together yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're on the way, and, you know, I guess arguably...
He's ahead of us even.
He's ahead of, especially on income and how much money he has.
Well,
But at the same time, I think we can say that we're ahead of him as far as we don't have these troubles on the inside. We're not battling an addiction and stuff like that. And addiction is something, it hits close to me because, not me personally, but a cousin of mine, when I was 20 or 19 and he was 23, OD'd and passed away. 23, you're not supposed to pass away at 23. It hit our family so hard. So I don't want to see this happen to that guy. Some of y'all might know. Some of y'all might know Kyrie. Hey.
Wait, he won the Heisman, right?
Yeah.
He won the Heisman, you know, and then now he's being a burnout. You know, it's so sad to see someone that goes from the Heisman winning to, you know, not really doing anything. Maybe that just wasn't his, you know, if someone believes in destiny, maybe it wasn't his calling, you know, maybe he was meant to do other things.
So he needs to realize that at that level, being a superstar, not just being a star, people who know who you are, but being a superstar, it has an expiration date.
Oh my
and
God.
that expiration date will come sooner if you continue to fail like this.
Yeah,
So
it'll come after
his
you.
time will be
Like-
limited if he continues to fail like this. Or he can choose to man up and make it as drawn out as he wants to and have a
Right.
successful career. It's up to him.
Right.
So, you know, at the end of the day, he's just got to step up. He's got to be a man, realize what his responsibilities are. Do this for his, not just himself, but his current family and his future family and his future kids. You know, step up and be a man. So maybe that's a transition into our next topic.
Yeah, we could do. Yeah, I think that's a good transitional time. You know.
Okay.
Do
You want to throw the topic out there?
Okay, so we're gonna be doing the topic of gender roles. You know, we're gonna talk about its influence, and we're gonna talk about, like, you know, right now for America and what the gender, you know, in relationships or in just everyday, you know, communications with people.
It's a spicy topic.
Yeah, dude, people are really opinionated.
I feel like the comments are gonna be
Dude, insane. People are either gonna be pissed at us or they're gonna be like, "Thank you for making
I feel
these
like
statements."
we may catch some heat or we may catch some praise on this.
For
So
real.
we'll see, and we're gonna try to be as unfiltered and as honest with you guys.
And we want you to be honest too. If you don't agree with some of us, then, you know, by all means. But if you agree with, you know, what Chrome's saying, then, you know, let him know, and, you know, you can rip me a new one. But, you know, this is all, you know, just a respect area. Everyone wants to hear what everyone has to say. So today is the gender role topic, and I just want to say, first off, I don't think that having, like, rules is necessarily wrong, but I do believe that it has crossed some lines, you know, and I feel like with modern time, we've either really, like, forgotten about the old traditions, that how they develop into these gender roles, or we've just placed new ones just based off of, like, how things have changed, like technology or social media or, like, what fashion is like or whatever. But I really think that for us to become, I guess, more gender equal, not necessarily like gender like blind and not recognizing, I feel like we need to first recognize, like, where it came from and why it's there and how it's, like, still taught to us when we were kids or now even when we're experiencing it.
Culture has a lot to do with it,
Yeah.
right? I think, like, especially, like, you know, there's going to be a you know, a little bit of a disconnect and maybe some similarities too. The fact that, you know, you were first born and brought up the first years of your life outside of this country, you know, so you're gonna have a little bit of a different take on it. And then your parents are both they lived they grew up in a culture like that, like where you're from,
the majority of
in
their
Iran.
life. Right.
So, and I grew up with a family who, you know, were from here and lived here. So there's maybe a little bit of a difference, but there's also some similarities. But I know growing up in the South, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and so did both of my parents. For the most part, both of them in Arkansas, actually lived very close to Memphis. And, you know, growing up in the Bible Belt, you know, there's a certain way, and growing up being as a Baptist, which I would consider myself non-denominational now, but it's not a religion talk, so we're trying to stay on the gender roles thing. So, you know, I was raised to where, you know, the man is the head of the household. And that doesn't mean he rules it like a dictatorship. You know, it doesn't mean he controls his wife or anything like that. It just means, you know, when it comes down to the final decision, he makes it. And that's not to say that it's wrong if another family is brought up where the mom may be the head of the household. But that's how I was raised, and so it's a culture thing. Around where I'm from, that's mainly the culture. Is most people the norm? Yeah. Is that the dad's the head of the household, and he makes the end of most decisions. If something needs to be, say, done outside the house, as far as mow the lawn, fix the vehicles, the dad's the one usually doing it, the hard labor. The mother cleans the house more so, but they both kind of go back and forth, but they more so on the inside. Right. It's just how it is, but that's not to say that it's wrong if things are done differently. And in today's society, everyone's so focused on being politically correct, or maybe there's certain I know that there's some females out there or males that may have this opinion too, that it's crazy to force a woman to be inside the house and cleaning and all this.
Right.
I agree in the sense that you don't need to force anybody
to
do anything. That doesn't need to be what it's not a. This isn't a dictatorship where you have to do whatever the ruler says, or maybe the man of the house says. But it's not wrong if that's what maybe a male and a female, if that's how they click and connect, and that's how their family works. That's how it works. I think people kind of need to be open to other cultures and realize that.
Yeah, because they have to become malleable to what each of y'all's perspective is. Is it like y'all both are picking up the pieces, or are y'all both picking up a part and just making the whole thing work? Like in terms of cleaning or doing hard labor, both people can do that and say, we're both going to contribute, or one person's like, I'm going to do this because this fits my strengths, and or this is what you've been raised, or this is what you're good at. I'm not saying necessarily. Because I'm not saying a man can't be raised by his mother to know how to do the washing machine and dryer and know how to sort clothes. I'm not saying that he can, by all means. But if that's the culture, or in that subjective couples, if that's how they are saying I'm gonna do this one whole thing and you're gonna do this one whole thing, then that's okay. But I think the ability of being able to do both things, both man and woman should know how to separate clothes and how to use the washing machine, dryer, or a woman should also know, just as equally as a man should know, how to change the oil in a lawnmower, or how to start a lawnmower, the hard labor and things that comes with that, and I just believe that all that is just a sort of capital, a sort of knowledge, and for us to just say no, this is meant for women, and no, this is meant for men, I feel like we're literally cutting out opportunity and capital from that individual just because they don't have that, I guess, knowledge or skill gained or mastered, So I guess I am preaching that every guy should know how to go do your laundry, because you should.
That's how, that's not wrong.
Yeah, not at all.
Neither side is wrong in this to me.
Right, and there's there's studies that show that the opportunity cost that women give up, they don't think about it. So for example, when they have kids and they're asked about, did you lose anything, or about what you can do in your life, and they don't perceive as their children as being a cost to them, no longer excelling in life. But however, when women are aware of opportunities like higher education or careers or other jobs, and then they're asked if they were to have kids, they would view kids as an opportunity cost. So what I'm trying to relate to is that if women don't know that they can do this, they will never think of it as a loss to them, of not knowing how to start the lawnmower, or not knowing how to change some parts in a car. But if they recognize that they have the opportunity to learn those things, and then they want to think of themselves, should I continue not knowing? And then to them that's something that should upset them and be like, no, I shouldn't know how to do this and learn how to do this. So I guess in a nutshell, when you become aware of something that you are capable of doing, there's no reason that you couldn't be able to do it. The same thing I believe that should be for men. You really didn't know that you could be so nurturing or patient with kids. Well, actually you can be. You just have to recognize that the opportunity or the possibility is there for you to learn. And then after that, you can perceive it all. But if you were to say, I want something that I don't even believe in the opportunity existing, people making that argument of oh, there should be no gender roles, both people should do it, but if you don't believe in that, if you weren't accustomed, or if your relationship doesn't believe in and can run successfully with how it is, I don't believe that you should, and I'm not preaching for gender roles, but I'm preaching for, what, if something's not broken, or don't fix it, and if
it works.
Yeah, it works, but if it's producing a generational, negative, thought, then I think it should be addressed. But I believe that if everyone should be given the opportunity to become aware of that. This isn't a gender role thing. You should be able to do this. But if it happens that you live in a culture that does, and everyone's okay with it, and it's not producing any negative products like stereotyping women or stereotyping men, then I think it's perfectly fine. But if it is becoming almost like cancer, in terms of generation, and them holding a stigma to what women can and cannot do, then no, I don't believe it. You know, I really
Right.
think that's when we really should, you know, address it in all sorts of like life, like parents or school or church or whatever have you. You know, but I don't know, I feel like all these are just like I believe the whole hunter gatherer thing. You know. And like
men.
yeah, and with men, and even back then, even before or after that, if you want to say like, you know, it didn't last for that long, and besides, women produced more food than the hunters because they with the gardens and all of that, and I believe that. But and just like that, you know, if that was constructed with a society, but I feel like there's some sort of like wiring in us, you know. But I'm not sure if the science, I'm not, you know, but I feel like everyone's like comes into this world, you know, with some type of way of their, you know, background influence them, you know. But that's just my 2 cents on it. But how do you feel about like where we are now with the gender roles of modern time compared to like primitive times, or even like in the middle of times?
You know, I do think that, you know, there's an instinctual like extra sense in each one of us, in males and females, and again, with everything, there's always exceptions. In almost every single rule in life, there's always exceptions. So this isn't to say that every male feels like this or every female feels like this. But it is ingrained in us through over time and through, you know, over the years, like in our DNA, that, you know, instinctually, and there's stats to prove it, that men are, you know, bigger risk takers. You know, that women are more nurturing, like, as you know, some things you've already stated. You know, men, you know, like you said, in primitive times used to be the hunters and gatherers, and they would go out or they would fight off, you know,
the hunting section part of it.
Or they would fight off threats to the, you know, community or whatever, the tribe, whatever it may have been, and the women were taking care of stuff at home and raising the kids more, and it makes sense because they're more nurturing naturally. So, you know, I think that has something to do with the way that we act now too. But that's not to say that there's not men out there that's more nurturing and women that are more
competitive or more aggressive.
So whatever you're saying, it comes down to the dynamic of your relationship. If you're a female that's more aggressive and stern and you want to take risks, you may not fit with a man that's going to want to do that same thing.
Right.
But you maybe need to find your balance, you know? And also, like going back to the culture I was, you know, raised in.
You were raised in the South the whole time?
The whole time. Never moved out of the South. Never moved out. I always lived in Arkansas or Tennessee, within like an hour of each other.
I remember you telling me
when
that.
I moved when I was little from Arkansas to Tennessee. It's right across the Mississippi River. For those of you who aren't familiar geographically, so it's like within an hour of each other. It's only 2 cities I've lived in until I went to college, where we went to University of Arkansas right here, and right here. So, but for example, when I went to a family reunion, gosh, people in our generation don't like. That's like not even like a thing really anymore.
Right.
God, man, like I feel like
it's
I'm
like
getting old. It's like I'm getting old now. So back when I was little, you go to a family reunion. It was, and I saw this on Facebook the other day, and it was actually a female who shared it, not myself, a girl I went to high school with, Jamie Conley, but she shared it, and it was a meme talking about, you know, women fixing their man's plate at a reunion or a dinner.
Oh my God! I saw you post that.
I shared it after my friend Jamie had posted it from high school. And because it surprised me that a female had posted this, because a lot of females today now are so proactive as far as them being equal to men, but I shared it because I was like, wow, like there's still women out there that have the opposite opinion, and I want to have both. I want there to be both because I like.
Dude, I wonder how many people were looking at your post and were like, man, fuck this guy, man. Like still believing in these values and stuff. Like, would you?
What are your thoughts on it? Do you think that it's over the top? Let me explain first.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, it was the post, the general gist of it. I'm not going to quote it exactly. I don't remember enough, but it was saying not that they should, but that there's nothing wrong with. And this is what I was going to say about when I grew up. My grandmas and my aunts and my mom and, you know, cousins. The females, the men would be sitting around drinking their beers or whatever, talking about old stories. the women would be, but the men would also be grilling and
they're still
cooking a
doing
lot of the
stuff.
food, and then the women would bake or make their food, and that's just how it was. It wasn't forced; it just happened to be that way. And the women would happen to make the plates for themselves and for their men, their husband or boyfriend, and bring it to them while they're at the tables. It's not like the man was like,
"Yo, make me a plate!"
Get me a plate and bring it back to me within 5 minutes. You know, it wasn't like that. But that's just how I was raised, and that's the culture I was raised in. So to me, and I don't think this is so wrong, but that's what's comfortable or seems normal to me.
Right.
Have I ever had a girlfriend that every time we eat fixes my plate? No, because I don't force that, and I've dated girls that didn't grow up in that, so that's not a big deal. But is that comfortable to me, or does it seem normal when I see it? Yeah, I don't even think twice when I see it, and that's what I was brought, the kind of country southern family I was brought up in. But you know, there's give and take on both sides. Men make a lot of sacrifices in my family that the women don't. It goes both ways.
Does like that same norm come with the fact that like, you know, men are seen and perceived as, you know, like tired after their long day, or that they've been out doing the hard labor, so like something small gesture, like, you know, fixing his plate and bringing it to him.
It's just helping him.
You know, it's no repayment necessarily, but it like gives him that sense of like that really means a lot. Is that why you think that's really like uprooted from like showing your appreciation?
Maybe not in all cases, but very much so. The general overview, you know, general
like the
gist
positivity of like
very much so, because there's a lot of women in my family, and I won't say a lot as in like maybe majority, but I know that there are for sure women in my family on both sides, moms and fathers, that were housewives. You know, they didn't really necessarily work, but they took care of almost everything at the house. Home. And the father was the provider as far as financially, where he would go out and work every day. Right. So, and a lot of them with labor, so that for example, my dad's parents. My grandma off and on had jobs here and there, but for the most part, my grandpa worked at a fencing company, hard labor outside in the sun all day, and then he'd come home. He's tired. I've worked jobs like that before. You don't feel like doing anything.
Right, you just want to put your legs up.
And so she helps him with things around the house, does more around the house, and it balances. It's not like she's doing more for him than he is for her.
Right. And I guess that striking like traditional value, you know, I understand that, and you know, I've even seen my mother do it for like out of the love and compassion for my dad. But I guess nowadays, you know, with the 21st century, there's more women in the market field. You know, there's more. You know, they're taking up more occupations. So that balance of like being the primary supporter is not only decreasing, but also that's not the only thing that's needed nowadays. You need two sources of income to like sustain, and with I don't even want to get into the inequalities, but like it's almost a norm for both people to have a job. You know, it's almost like, why don't you have the two jobs? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if that balance is coming, you know, does that mean that idea of, you know, like that gesture, does that decrease or lose its name? Because, you know, people, let's say like they do the hard labor and women go out to do social work, you know, and you know, they both jobs, you know, have like pros and cons and things that, you know, it drains you emotionally. So does that mean that, you know, the men should also make it for the women? And who says, you know, nowadays even eating at the table together is like getting harder and harder because everyone's so busy. But, you know, just that instance, you know, I get it, but I really think that, you know, because times are changing and women are having more and more opportunity. I'm not saying like there's like direct laws that stop women from like getting jobs and stuff, but now it's becoming norm, even though there are inequalities that they face. But how can women, I guess, progress in their like historical outline of women's suffrage and, you know, progress if they're still held on to those values? And I'm not saying that, like, for example, in that case of making your husband a plate or his plate is holding her back, but is that the same type of views that fuel the ones that hold women down? Like, for example, women can't be doctors, but they're much more perceived to become nurses. Or women, you know, are perceived to do that such tough labor, but men can. But I'm saying the same perspective that are shared for, you know, women making the plate, are those the same people, no, I'm not talking about you, the same people that hold those values that are also traditional, like women shouldn't be working, they should be staying at home, you know, should they be doing the laundry? You know, I'm not worried necessarily about that thing, but I'm just saying those people that share that perspective, I just hope they're not vulnerable to holding other traditional views that actually hold them down. You know, like that's something that's some simple and caring, saying like, you know, you make your man's play, you know, it's like, it's so like, it's an emotional like investment, you know, but other things that, you know, you can make that same claim, but you could actually be suppressing women, you know, like, you know, women should, you know, like, let their man have like sex on his hard days, or like she should do the work during sex when he's like tired. Like women don't need to have to do that, you know?
Right.
Just because he went out and like has like bruises on his hands and stuff doesn't mean you need to like blow him, you know? But like out of you want to, and that same traditional values is potentially, that's what I'm scared of. Like the same people that believe that can wrongfully or very, I guess, passively think that it's okay to think otherwise. You know, now do I believe that millennials that think of the same value of like, you know, fixing up a plate, do they hold the same values of my wife should give me sex that night? No, I don't think that, but I'm just saying that window can open, you know, and that's what I'm worried for if younger generations are taught those traditional values but without guidelines.
Some limit to, you know, this is going a little bit too far.
I mean, I would love if my girl made me like a PB&J on a Sunday football day and she brought my drink because she knows I was like mid-chew and my mouth is dry. Like, I would love that, dude. But equally, I would do the same thing if she was like in the bath and I brought her a glass of champagne. You know, like I feel like that, if you want that, man, like if you want your woman to make you a sandwich, like you better be able to make her the best like morning breakfast filled with whatever and her favorite thing, because if you want that, you need to be able to give that back. Like, don't be entitled, and that'll literally become a black hole for your relationship if you have this expectation, you know. Rather have a standard, because if you have a standard, that means you're gonna do it too. You know, you practice what you preach.
We talk about this a lot. Standards versus expectations.
That's another thing. I'm not trying to get cheesy, but Shakespeare said this: expectations are the root of all failures. Because you assume, you know, in the saying that you make an ass out of you and me, you know. But rather, if you have standards, you can be like, this is how I am, and this is how I'm going to treat you or it or whatever, and this is what I'm going to allow to be in my life, in my social circle, whether it's a friend or someone that you're intimate with, you know. So. And I really believe that like standards and expectations has a lot to do with gender roles and what we perceive, you know, nowadays. But you know, I really think that we're not like, you know, people say, man, like men don't know how to be gentlemen, and women don't know how to be ladylike, you know. I feel like that's the traditional values. Now, do I believe that traditional values of being a gentleman and ladylike have died? No, I think they've evolved or transitioned, you know. Now, are they as appropriate as the traditional people would view it as? No. Like, I don't think twerking is viewed as something that's ladylike. But, you know, if you know how to like dance you know, salsa, to us that's very that's a great thing. It's like, wow, she knows, you know. Now it might be a little sexual, yes, but I think, you know, our ladylike and gentlemanlike has changed, and we should evolve to a transition with recognizing that we shouldn't like limit one another to expecting these gender roles, you know, and we can find ourselves a whole new, I guess, era of being like ladies and gentlemen. Because I don't think being a lady or being a gentleman is a matter of age, or like you're like, oh, you have enough money, thus you are a gentleman now. I think it's like a matter of choice.
A certain way,
you have to think like that. You have to choose, you know, like
actually I speak louder than
It's like when no one's looking, you know, are you gonna do that? Like, you know, there's a lot of scenarios of people like, I still hold the door, or you know, those are the obvious ones that are there that people expect. But like, you know, you open the door. But dude, when I see every now and then, this happened like once or twice in my entire life, when a woman would open the door, you know, and I was just like, thank you, thank you for what you're doing. I'm not saying like, you're fighting gender roles. I'm not saying that, but I'm just like, that means a lot that you recognize that. Or if we go out a date with girls and with a girl and she says, you know, she makes it more than just saying like, hey, like, thanks for paying, or she doesn't just say like, you know, just like that one word thanks, but it's like, you know, she either doesn't say anything, but like she does it back the next time, you know, she pays for it out of nowhere, you know, and I think those type of women are very mature on that ladylike, and just like how gentlemen, you know, should expect the same thing. Like you should make a sandwich for your wife or for your girlfriend. But you know, I'm getting a little off topic, but I really believe that all these things are like interconnected, you know.
Oh yeah, this is a topic that spreads
massively
to almost every aspect of life, because at the end of the day, what do we all want to do? At the end of the day, when life is coming towards the end, we want to be with someone we love, that we found,
Right.
that we're deeply rooted in a relationship with, you know, that we want to spend all our time with, of the opposite sex, or for some people maybe the same sex, but
Power to you, like whatever.
but you know, yeah, it's just, I just think the biggest points of this need to be is that none of it needs to be forced.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone comes from a different background, so you don't need to force your culture or your background upon them. You know, if they see it a different way, as long as no one's being treated wrongly, then I believe that it's okay, and you should take in that culture. Everyone should try taking everyone else's cultures so they can be a better rounded person as a whole themselves. You know, and it's just everyone's brought up in a different way, and you can take things away from the way you were brought up and use them, or you can take things from other cultures that were different than the way you've been brought up and use that. It's just, you know, everyone's been molded by their experiences or their parents' experiences.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, for example, if I was to have came home at any point in time, even today, and went on a date with a female, and I told my dad that we split the check or that she paid for it,
He'd be like, what
he
the?
would
He would trip.
he would get in my ass. Or my mom or my stepdad, any of
It's like,
them.
why'd you let her pay?
Why would you not pay for this? You know, that is your job as the man to do. Well, you know, some people would argue it's not, and I'm not gonna, and I've kind of took that, you know, to heart, and that's just the way it's part of my culture I was raised
Right.
in. I always paid for any female that I took out, and you know, I've had girlfriends here and there that would want to split, or they'd be so all about splitting it away, and I would at the most let them, you know, split it with them instead of, you know, I'm not gonna let them pay for all of it. That's just the way I was brought up. That's the way I see it. That's the way I'm gonna raise my son to be. You know, but that's part of cultures.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
the way I was
different.
raised.
It's different because, like, you know, I feel like, you know, the women that, you know, they're so inclined to paying for themselves, or at least paying for half, or covering the other half. I mean, you know, it's, you know, I wonder if they're doing it out of, you know, because they don't want to be, you know, prescribed to these gender roles. They don't want, you know, the relationship to be like that, or, you know, maybe it's like a, you know, I can't, you know, you got to recognize that, you know, there might be that, you know, that independent conscious thinking, you know, like, I don't want people to think that I need them, or I need them for so, because that stigma, you know, because every guy fear is that you're only going to go out with him on a date just because of the nice place that you're going to eat at, you know, and guys, this runs to their head, you know, and they think about it either when, right before the date, or right after, if they're going home alone, and they just think of it as that. They don't even perceive it as, like, maybe, like, the woman doesn't even just want to, like, have, like, physical contact with you just yet, or maybe just not then, but guys really think about, like, the date aspect, and I'm not saying in terms of, like, you know, like, girl, I paid like $65 worth of your food and drinks, like, obviously you're gonna come home with me. I think that's the poisonous gender roles that we have. Like, I paid for your stuff, come to bed with me, you know, like, and that's another thing, that's a whole other topic that's like,
the stars of today, especially in, like, say, I don't want to point out one industry like it's their fault or anything, but they are a big part of today's culture. The hip hop industry, they preach that, it's almost like they preach that,
like, I'm gonna take you home,
that I've got this money, I buy you whatever,
thus you come to bed,
Jimmy Choos or something, and so you're gonna have sex.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's you. You decided to spend that, you know. But but then you gotta be like, well, girls put on this front that they want to, and, you know, and that's when you can get down to it, like, girls are, like, going through a reaction and playing, you know, but it's just, it gets real blurry, you know, whenever people start thinking so much about it, you know, like, it's where we're talking for the dates of, like, oh, should I pay, or should I, you know, give my debit card to a waiter before, you know, he even places it down, and, you know, should I expect a thank you, or, like, oh, that means a lot, you know, and do you? And, like, what I perceive as, you know, I got taught early, you know, to cover for a woman's, you know, ticket or tab or whatever, but when I have a sister, and my mom taught my sister to, like, never let that happen. So, like, I got raised with, like, so, like, I was able, you know, I wanted to pay, but if a woman said, no, I insist on taking my half, you know, I really respected them for it, and I was just like, that means a lot. But, you know, again, like, in the future, I would cover just out of my gesture, because then after that, it became, like, a norm, you know, like, they'll cover the whole thing, or we'll go half, or that issue never came about, you know, And I feel like whenever you don't address it necessarily by thinking so much, I feel like you can just write it out. You know, whether it's in your family, if it's always been a sign, like how Chrome's dad chewed his ass out, you know, but in other ways, you know.
Would have,
yeah, because
I always paid. Hey, I got my stuff covered over here, okay?
Right, dude, my dad would chew my ass out if he heard that I let girls pay, but I did, I'll admit. And the ones that did, you know, I highly respect because, you know, it shows that, you know, you're like, you don't necessarily believe that, but you know, I would like to now treat them. The ones that are like able to like say, I can pay for my own, that makes me want to pay for yours even more because I know that you recognize what I'm doing and like all that.
Instead of just like assuming like, oh, it's taken care of.
Yeah, and women, give some recognition to the guys that always pay. Okay, like these guys are going through like 2 weeks worth of saving planning to think about how big of an entree you're getting. So like, make sure you recognize these stuff, dude. Like
college time.
College budget.
If you get taken out, if you're a female or you know whatever situation, if you get taken out on a nice date by a guy in college,
he's eating ramen 2 weeks beforehand for that, saving dollars.
Please know that this wasn't just. You know, he's not over here like this.
Yeah, we're not saying have sex with him or go home with him, but just know what
give him a simple thank you. Should do.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you shouldn't have gone out with him in the first place.
Yeah.
He's not a real
And
man.
if you wanted that free meal, you a bitch. You a bitch. You giving that man torture for 2 weeks of eating, you know. But
so, all right.
Yo, one thing I want to talk about is the last one, if you don't mind. I want to talk about gender roles in relationships, man. You know, we talked about it a little bit, you know, for dating, but I'm talking about like when you're deep in a relationship, you know, when you're like X amount. I'm not giving it time because you know you could be pretty close mentally or physically with someone before you give yourself a title, but. Man, like I have a couple of buddies, you know, I'm not gonna expose them just now, but I had a couple of buddies during Christmas time, man. They were sweating bullets because they kept on thinking that, you know, whatever I buy this Christmas, I'm gonna have to either like step it up. Yeah, one up it. And I feel like that's the vicious cycle with gender roles, man. Like, and it's for both sides, you know, and like, how much can you spend before you're like, all right, let me drop the question. You know, like, let me get you a ring. So whenever, and by the way, diamonds in the hole, that's not even, like, the fact that we made those things be so popular, that's fucking retarded. But excuse my language. But that's just something that's a whole nother thing. But, you know, like, what we expect out of one another is absolutely crazy. And if a man does the gender roles of a woman, he's seen as soft or, like, a wuss. Or if a woman does the gender roles of a guy, she's seen as, like, you know, girls will be like, oh, she's a queen bee, you know, like doing her thing. Guys will see as like, that is like, you know, some guys will see as like, that's a crazy whatever, or like, some people like, dang, she could hold her own, which I respect. And others will be like, that's just too much. Like, I need that balance where I do my thing and you do your thing, you know. But
and even further, some guys need where they need the girl to be not as much like that because they want to be like the boastful, like, you know, like,
right, and I feel like that's what corrupts things, you know, like that expectations of like what are you gonna be like, and what if you're not like that, you know, what if you're a girl that's all about that?
You gotta find your match.
Yeah,
there's gotta be a balance, and that's not to say, you know, we're not saying men should be this way or should not be this way, but if they are or they are not, you have got to have a balance.
Yeah, it's like, can you accept this person's like attributes? You can consider them flaws, like, oh, he's too nice, and women are like, oh, like, you know, we're like, why do nice guys finish last? And you know, why do the, you know, Johnny Badasses or like, you know, all the Chris Browns, why do they get all the girls first? And you know, there's science behind it, but you know, there's a whole thing, you know, of like, that's just what that sample of women or that sample of men value, you know, at that time of age, you know, if they consider like the alphaness and all that, and it's shocking, you know. At first, women shows, they go, you know, towards the, you know, the bad boys and the you know, the real cool kids, and data shows from like, you know, from 15 to about like 25, 26, that's the type of people that they go after. Around after like 25, 26, they start going after the good guys. Why? It's because things start to matter. credit score, family bonds, your self-capital, what you're doing. Do you have a job or a career? And all of a sudden, the demand for nice guys shoot up and the supply limited. And those nice guys learn quick, you know? And so that's what I'm saying. If those gender roles weren't there, these ideas cannot even help the good guys with heartache and not perceive women as like using them and now they want them, you know, but it can also give much more universal like platform. But that's just what we've grown to, you know, like as our gender roles of attraction, you know. Only when it's like near the marriage season is when people start going through their phone books and they're like, oh shit, like who is someone that's like cuffable or like someone I can date, you know, and that's when it's too
cuffing
late.
Season.
Yeah, cuffing season. Like
only our generation.
Oh
season.
My god, my news feed every time it's filled with either babies or like engagement rings, and I'm just like, one, too soon, or two, still too soon. Like either or, and that's just like a whole other subject. But dude, it's, you know, that demand and like men wanting the sexiest girl, like the baddest chick, and you know, we're gonna have.
That's more of a. The testosterone.
I
have
need number one.
The alpha male.
Right.
I've got to be at the top.
Right.
Type. You know.
Right, and you know like the news is that's gonna change because the girl that you marry now and the girl that you're with, I promise you, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, she's gonna be as equally and as ugly as you're gonna be as you're gonna age. You know, of course, some people will age well, but you guys will. That's who you're stuck with. So like the fact that you want to think that's my priority first. Like you're headed towards failure, my friend, because that person is not gonna look like that forever. Like, and you only, you know, there's different things like that, you know, media or you know the porn industry that's really like I really think has, you know, impacted men's thinking and consciousness of what women should be and should look like, and that's right back to the gender roles. You know, like it's like 26 degrees in winter and women are in dresses. Like. Why? You know, it's because, you know, fashion hurts. No, because you've been taught, like, this is what fashion is, this is what appealing is. Rather than you being comfortable and warm and not getting, like, hypothermia, you're going yourself out there with, like, just a thin thing that costs you God knows how much money for barely any cost.
That's never been my thing either. It's like a girl that would just wear anything to look good or, like, I've never been the guy who wants his girl to
be the brightest and catchiest.
Yeah, dress like a summer dress just because I want her to look good on my arm going out. Hey, I love nothing more than a girl in a nice pair of jeans. Maybe I like her to fill them out with some.
Obviously, fill them out with some jeans
with some muscular legs. You know, I'm a fitness guy myself, but a girl in a nice pair of jeans and a hoodie if we're chilling or you know, even if we're going to eat at a casual place. Perfectly fine for me, you know, like that's very attractive. So.
Yeah, and sorry if I can add something, and I know we're discussing how gender roles aren't great, but this is one thing I will, you know, if women aren't watching this, and I know you might know this, but when you wear our clothes the next day,
moment of silence for this thing.
Like y'all the real MVPs.
I agree, 100%. There's some that's a.
Gender roles, dude.
That was like you know, why does that? There's no specific reason why that. Maybe it's like a claims thing. Almost
like you were in my territory.
You're wearing like it's like a testosterone alpha primitive feeling that we get like that is, you know.
Not that you're mine, but like
not like we.
You want to be mine, like you're wearing me.
Right.
You're
wearing showing us. That you are all about us. You know? Hey, like I'm gonna put on your shirt. Anyone who sees me right now knows I'm wearing your shirt because I'm giving you my attention.
Right.
That is what is
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't know women if you like want us guys to be wearing y'all bras and stuff. We're not about to do that, but that's what this gender role game is about.
Hey, let me tell you something right now.
I ain't wearing no bra.
Let me tell you something right now. If that's your thing,
I will give up.
If that's your thing, this is what I'm gonna say. Get out of my house. Get out of my house right now.
This is a mistake.
I will not be talking to you later.
See, now that's some gender bullshit, you know, like how you're never gonna wear your girlfriend's bras, like messing around.
But vice versa, she can wear it and it's like completely
More
accepted.
often, and it's okay.
Yeah, more often.
See, wow, that's the gender roles right there, man.
Yeah, and then maybe some guys will be okay with that.
Not me.
Not here. That's just an opinion thing, I guess. I don't know, but so.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. But yeah, it's something when you all wear it. Now I'm not saying like overly do it, but you know, like how earlier we were talking about when you fix a man's plate, you know, that like wearing his shirt, like that's the type of what we're talking about. You know, that warm feeling that it gives us. You know, I'm not saying like it's. Let me tell you something. It's not coming from, you know, because all my feminists out there. You know, I'm not saying like yes, because we got control over you. Like no, because I believe that a guy should do the same thing for you. You know, but it's. You know, but we can't translate it. We can't wear a fucking bra, or
it's not the same.
So we can't do equally everything that you do. So you
but
guys
shouldn't. You
guys shouldn't criticize. You know that this is so sexualized, or I understand that. You know, and I get that, but that's that's a whole other conversation. But what we do back, it should of course be men should know how to do it more. Learn how to do their nurture capital, more with, skill and be equipped with that thing. But we shouldn't expect the same equal, reaction,
right.
I mean, by all means, if you make that Sunday breakfast and you wake up an hour earlier than your girlfriend, by all means, you should make her breakfast and make her a plate, But the things like we said, like the wearing the shirt, you can't really, copy that back and show affection. But, we want there to people that are arguing for or against or are neutral with the gender perspective, that it's all about you recognizing where you're coming from, and before criticizing another person, recognize how you're perceiving that, and that's, I guess that's my claim that I'm trying to get to you guys and see what you feel about it. But I feel like once we put away those biases and understand, oh, okay, before I start criticizing a culture or someone, I need to understand the one that I'm in, what I'm expecting and what my standard is, and how I need to focus on standards and not expectations. And I feel like from there we could do some sort of the first step of having a more equilibrium of genders and gender roles, And it's a topic that needs to be talked about.
It does.
It absolutely needs to be talked
about.
Another
thing I don't, and this will be my last little conversation on this topic. But one thing I want to throw out there is people have become so accepting of political correctness nowadays that it's almost like people don't want to voice their opinions anymore if it's not
correct.
If it's not what the majority sees. If it's not politically correct. That's not what I mean. Not what the majority sees, but if it's even the majority sometimes to me is silent because of the backlash they think they will get
if they express
and it's
right.
not politically what's deemed as politically correct by the media or whatever. Speak up, speak your mind. If you were raised a certain way and that's what you believe, there's a reason why there's different cultures and there's so many people that are so interested in traveling different parts of the world because people are different and it is supposed to be that way.
It would be so lame.
It would be so lame and boring if we all had the same thoughts and everyone was politically correct and there would be no good and evil. There would be no highs and lows if everyone was the same. Just accept and love the fact that we're all different. Don't try to make everybody the same or hate people or despise them if they're not the same as you or don't think the same way as you. Take it in and make yourself more well-rounded because of it. That drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's in essence like we're such a huge melting pot that the only way we could take away this kind of discrimination is if we recognize we're a multicultural society, and we need to recognize that about ourselves and about others, and in the bigger expansions that we live in, in our schools or in our careers or in the friendships that we make and in our parents, that for understanding others, we need to understand that this is a completely multicultural platform, that there is no right or wrong because this is multicultural. Now can in one perspective be deemed as wrong, and not necessarily a peaceful thing, you know, as someone's perspective on a certain issue. But we need to understand that one, yeah, obviously, you know, freedom of speech, etc., etc. But for us to understand, we need to first accept the fact that we are multicultural and we could never assimilate to becoming American or like what it is to be. Because what it means to be American, it means the land of like immigration and multiculturalism, and if the same will feed into our gender roles and our values. We just have to make sure that, hey, we come from different values and different sources and life sources of values and norms and all sorts of traits, and the best way to see who we can find compatible either for a friend or a relationship is by first understanding that. And I promise, I feel like that will save so much heartache, so much conflict, so much emotional like disruption, that if we just come into each scenario with open arms, not necessarily willing to accept it, but open arms to willing to embrace what it is, and then, you know, you can accept it or not, but you learn it, you know, you're equipped with that culture or with that norm. You don't have to use
just adding some ammo to your knowledge.
Yeah. And besides, this is America. Like, this is like,
it's what this country is for.
Literally, even though
for all cultures to come together and it be great because of it.
Even though the history wants you to be one, but you know, this segment, what we're trying to preach is that you can be anything in any multicultural level or role that you want, as long as you're not pushing it on anyone, and as long as you're not, you know, creating violence or any sort of bad negative productions in generations to come. You know, just do you and just be positive. You know, it's just vibes. You know, just be good.
Good vibes.
Literally.
I think that's a good way to send off the gender roles talk.
Yeah, that's a good time.
I hope y'all enjoyed that. You know, that's the biggest piece of our our podcast today. So anything that y'all have, if you agree, if you disagree, you know, if
you hate us,
or any questions you guys have, just put anything below, any type of constructive criticism for us, and we'll take it and run with it. So. On to the next segment of the day. Dime of the day.
Oh, yes. I like this part. I like this
Dime
part.
of the day, yeah. Who doesn't like a good dime?
For real.
So,
something that's nice on the eye.
You want me to go first? Or
let's see what you got right now. Let's see what you got.
Okay. My dime of the day is the Great Sierra.
Wait, is this the Sierra? This beat is automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, something.
I just started doing the robot right
funky,
now.
fresh. Yeah, dude, I think that's her.
That's
her, right?
Yeah,
That's her. Okay.
That is her.
Okay.
That is her. 100%.
Word.
I did the robot right then. I'll never do that again. Sorry, guys. But
middle school dances.
I don't even know if it was then. I don't even know. Were you the guy doing the robot in the middle school dances?
No, I was one of those things about doing it. I was the guy that was
thought, and you're like, the opportunity cost.
No, it's not worth it.
The risk.
Yeah, the risk.
So anyway, Sierra, her and Russell Wilson. If you don't know, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl winner 2 years ago. You know, they just got engaged actually. So and Sierra, let's look at her, man. She's gorgeous, beautiful girl, man. These two got a couple 1-2 caramel skin
for real
people
dude.
right here.
Oh my gosh, she's fairly young, isn't she?
Let's look up her age. I want to see because she looks like what, 22 ish.
I wish 22.
22.
She's been around since like my middle school.
Yeah, we know she's not 22, but she looks.
She can easily pass that, like, dude, 23, 4, like easy.
Born in '85, so she's 30.
She looks
30 years old, looks 22.
I mean, I don't know if she's got any like procedures or anything, but dude, she looks
right
great.
Because she is on that level of that money. She can do whatever she wants.
Whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah,
easy.
And she's married to or engaged to Russell Wilson now. Dude. But so two successful people gonna have some beautiful kids.
For real.
Athletic probably too, and like.
Probably
come out looking like a Greek.
Or vocally talented.
Gonna make a Greek god and like the voice of an angel, like yeah. So props to Sierra and Russell Wilson for that. But I'm just happy for them, Sierra.
Yeah.
Hit me up whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, dude, she's
Sierra, I'm gonna slide in your DMs. But no, I'm really just happy for them too. I'm really just happy for them too.
Obviously.
And props to them for those two. If y'all out there don't know, they're celibate. They're practicing celibacy.
Well, I know Russell with him,
since she's with him,
right.
they're not having sex until marriage. it takes a strong man and
So
a strong
is it
woman
like
to do
open
that.
market now for him finally, huh? He's
That's the thing. Is it engagement or is it marriage? When you
yeah, like I guess like the night of the marriage.
right then,
Right.
then they can. But yeah, props to them. It takes a strong person to do that.
That is so much testosterone, just like
Built up.
it.
Maybe that's why he plays so well. But
Right.
or maybe that's why he did not win the Super Bowl this past year. But yeah. So
Oh my God.
I'm a fan of Sierra. I'm a fan of Russell Wilson being with Sierra.
Yeah,
So
that's a power couple.
props, power
Yeah,
couple.
yeah.
More props to them. If you want to follow Sierra, if you want to see this beautiful woman,
If you haven't seen her yet.
if you don't already know who she is, you should if you're in tune to pop culture. But
Right.
say you don't, not everybody is. Say you don't. If you want to look for her on Instagram, it's at Sierra. So at CIARRA.
Follow.
No, I'm sorry, CIARA. All right.
Hmm.
So now let's compare my dime to your dime. Let's see what you
Okay.
got for the people out there.
Okay,
And
cool.
when we're done, let us know.
Yeah,
Whose dime?
for sure.
Who do you side with? Whose
Hey,
dime is the real
and
dime?
do your research on this, okay? do your research. And okay, so my nomination is probably someone you haven't heard of. Her name is Amy Cuddy. In fact, I should say Dr. Amy Cuddy, and she's a social psychologist. And
Kid Cudi's
no, not
what cousin? What is this? Kid Cudi's sister?
Yeah, like long distant cousin of Kid Cudi, but nah, this is a whole nother person. But yeah, she went to Princeton and she does guest lectures. And if you guys follow TED Talks or anything, she has the second most viewed TED Talks on the website.
Wow.
And yeah, she basically talks
Big
about
site.
yeah, dude. Oh my God, if we had to save people from like an apocalypse, we need to save them like immediately. Like these will save us. These people will save us one day. But in fact, they're saving us right now. But what she does is she did several studies on how body language can actually affect our own like mental performance or our own mental resiliency when we get in tough situations. And if you guys can look her up, and she did a segment for how your body affects how you think, and it's on TED.com. She talks about it, and if anyone ever that has anxiety out there or has trouble like containing themselves when a big moment comes or like a big interview or a test that's gonna determine what school you go to, she really helps out all the individuals by showing like different methods and techniques you can do with your own body before you go into these like extremely, I guess, high risk situations that create anxiety. Yeah, high stress. And she puts science into it and explains it. And it really helps you in keeping your composure and during things. And that'll even
That's
like
a
help
very
you.
powerful thing.
Yeah, your performance. But and she's gorgeous too. So like the dime of the week, I get you. But it's a huge plus whenever you got substance. Of course for both sides, male and female. But if you got obviously the gorgeous looks or nice on the eyes, and she also has substance. In Sierra's case, she has the brains for music. Yeah, all of these and the fact that she's independent, both of these girls. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Woo! And the fact that she's about sociology and I'm about sociology, so she's pretty high on
You guys are
mine.
in tune.
Yeah,
we're on the
we're
same page.
You could say it's getting pretty serious between us.
It's getting pretty.
Yeah,
serious.
I saw her on TV, so we're pretty close.
Might have liked a tweet or two.
Yeah, for sure. And
No
talk
big deal.
about Twitter. If you guys want to follow her, if you guys do that thing, it's at Amy J.C. Cuddy with 2 D's. So it's AMYJCCUDDY. And you guys then can follow her and tweet her. And I'm sure if you guys are lucky enough, we'll get a tweet back. So
Yeah.
so
Okay,
holla
hit her
at
up.
me on that.
Hit up Miss Cuddy.
Yeah, Miss Cuddy, dude.
Miss Cuddy.
Yeah, brains and beauty.
Let us know, Miss. Now Miss Wilson or will be
Soon to be Wilson.
But
Soon
Sierra,
to be.
Sierra versus Miss Cuddy. Y'all,
Yeah.
Amy Cuddy. Y'all let us
Y'all
know. Y'all decide. So what do you think?
Yeah, dude. I mean,
But, so next segment, last segment of the day. One of my personal favorites, badass of the day.
oh yeah,
All right, I went first this last time.
you did. You did.
I did. So how about we let you go ahead and give them your badass of the day before
Okay.
I present mine.
All right, cool, man. And first of all, I want to say if I ever was given this opportunity, as much as I like what he did, I don't know if I would do it or if I would even have the brains to do this. And I'm not saying I'm not bad, but this is pretty awesome. This is why he's my badass of the week. Another time might be she, but today is finish this sentence for me or this word. Damn.
Daniel.
Exactly.
Bam, Daniel.
Yeah,
okay.
dude, Daniel is back at it again, my friend.
What's he back at it again with, though? What is
It's
he
still
on
the white
now?
Vans. It's still the white
Still the
Vans.
white Vans?
Yeah,
Okay.
but check this
Okay.
out. So if you guys didn't know, he got a lifetime supply of Vans when he like made an appearance on Ellen, and then like the
I did not know he got
the
a
guy that
lifetime supply.
the guy that
Oh.
recorded, he got a surfboard and he got designs saying like "Damn Daniel" or like "Back at it again," something like that. And,
People just blow up off media
dude,
nowadays,
like
dude.
overnight, dude, it just
I mean,
snapped.
I know how
like,
it feels, but I'm not on the damn Daniels
like,
level.
oh my god, it's just some other stuff. So now here's the thing that just made him such a badass. Like instead of, obviously all the fame that's gonna come, especially being popular at the local level, but what he did was he took all like his gift from Vans and he went to the Children's Hospital and donated his lifetime supply. And I think right now at the moment it was like about 100 shoes he gave away to kids. And I was just like, my god. And here's what I'm saying, like if I was at his position, I don't know if I would do this. Because such a huge fame, like regardless how big or small, burst comes at you, for you to also have that capacity of still thinking, maybe he did it for more fame, but I'm saying the fact that he did do it, and maybe it wasn't the first thought crossing his mind, or maybe it wasn't the last one, but the fact that he went out and still did that, it still showed the fact that you can use your means of fame or attention for act of like kindness or things of being humane, and like, I'm not saying I would have done that and I would have rocked, because I'd be like, man, that's so many Vans, like even though it's kind of like monthly or yearly, whatever, I'd be like, and I don't know if I'd be wearing Vans forever, so like, I'm sure it would come to my mind, but it's really good to see that someone's out there that's actually got this, hype, and that can use their fame for like positivity.
Using their stage.
Yeah, and he's only 15, like 16, 14, 15,
what
16,
14,
like,
15, 16, whatever year-old kid thinks to give what the fame they've been given and push it to the side and give it to others.
Right, and when you're 15, 16, do you remember how much like popularity was like a thing in you not, even if you weren't popular group, because I wasn't personally, but it was, whenever you're growing up, it's the social, like, I guess, like the development that you, like the skills that you go and your friends that you have, you go through pressures and anxieties and all this stuff, and some people really want to like advance on situations that come their way, like a quick fame and spotlight, but he still had that like conscience of like, hey, I should still do something and not forget, whether he was a good kid or a bad kid, or it's all a scene, whatever it might be, but I'm glad at least it made it to the scene that something like this occurred and it was still carried out positively. It wasn't just like a huge hype, at least it was like something learned from.
Damn, Daniel.
He was back at it again.
Man, what a true badass.
Yeah, true badass. For sure.
Right, I'm going to take mine a little bit of a different route.
Okay.
A little bit of a different route, all right? But that's the point, right? Hey,
yeah.
We're two different people.
There you go.
We bring different things to the table. All right, so my badass of the week, for all of you UFC fans out there, you might already even know who I'm talking about if you're a big fight fan. Nathan Diaz. He defeated recently the great, what they call the Mystic Mac.
For real, that's
his nickname, the Mystic Mac. Conor McGregor, the superstar, transcending out of the fight world, becoming popular just in mainstream media. He's that popular. He's definitely the Floyd Mayweather that's liked a little bit more of the MMA world.
Yeah,
so
definitely notorious.
He defeated Conor McGregor. So let's not talk too much about McGregor here.
Yeah,
Nate Diaz is the real badass, okay? Conor McGregor is like if y'all don't know, he's the 145-pound champion in the UFC.
That's featherweight?
Featherweight, it is.
Right.
He moved up, not to lightweight at 155, but to... I don't want to say it wrong here. I don't know the name, but it's the 100.
It's higher than lightweight.
It's 2 weights up.
He went up like what?
170 pound weight division.
Wow.
So 145 to 170 pound division.
He gained a lot of weight.
Gained a lot of weight for this, and Nate Diaz is not necessarily. He's fought at 170 before, but he's normally a 155er, so one division above Conor. So give Conor his respect. He went up 2 divisions to fight Nate.
Went up 1.
Nate just went up 1 division. But Nate was an extreme underdog in this. Like, I had friends that won big money betting on Nate Diaz to win this fight. Yeah. So if you're a real fight fan, you didn't doubt Nate Diaz because he's a true veteran in the game. He's been through some wars in the octagon and came out on top. Great fighter, great with his hands, especially good jiu-jitsu guy. Conor came in there, thinking, hey, for the first round, it looked like he may be right. He was beating up Nate Diaz, bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, cut his eye real early in the fight. Second round, I mean, won the whole first round easily. Comes out second round, Nate Diaz said, "I don't give up."
Look, the only thing he says, I don't give up.
If you know Nate Diaz in his press conferences, he curses a lot. He's from Stockton,
like
California. He doesn't care. He's a thug. He's you know, let's go. He's a brawler. But I, part of me likes that. You know, in your fighters, you kind of like that a little bit. So he comes out the second round, blasts Conor McGregor, gets him on the ground, chokes him out, rear naked choke. Conor taps. Hey, surprise the world.
I didn't see that coming. I thought he lost the fight during the press conference.
I had ordered the fights here. I always order them. Big fight fan. Me and all my friends from San Antonio were here. Jumped up. Hands oh no. Like, oh my God.
Dude, when I saw that 1-2, I was like, oh God.
Nate Diaz's 1-2. 1-2 punch is one of the best in all of UFC, if you ask me. Dude's insane.
It's crazy.
Bloody champ, though.
Yeah, dude.
What a champion. What a badass. So, shout out to Nate Diaz. He's the badass of the day for me. So let us know in the comments who's badass of the day. Would you have chosen someone else that we didn't talk about? Let us know. Also, if you want to follow Nate Diaz on Twitter or Instagram, it's going to be the same tag. It's Nate Diaz 209. So at NATEDIAZ 209. 209 is that Stockton area code. You know he had to represent with that. He's a big representative of where he's from in Cali. So that's the badass of the day. So that's gonna end that segment. So last thing. So
if y'all haven't noticed,
if you haven't noticed by the end of the podcast, this stuff right up front up here. First thing, someone give us a name for this little guy. We don't have a name for
we adopted him.
Razorback monkey here.
Yeah.
But these products here.
What is it?
I mean, it's made by NutriKey. If you haven't already heard of the greatest supplement company on earth.
Dude. I could read.
I mean, okay, let me tell you a little story here. This happened about a week ago.
Really? Okay, what happened?
I'm walking out of the gym, right? This girl passed by, pretty good looking girl. She said, I was like, what is this girl doing? You know, I was like, I was about to turn and keep walking. She's like, is that NutriKey? I was like,
wait, NutriKey has a cologne?
No. I take the supplements.
So this is like...
I gave off a pheromone walking past this lady. This is so strong. She was like, is that NutriKey?
Like the animal in her was like... I felt... Dude, we should sell this
I felt like she was being very aggressive. You know, it was a little over the top, but I appreciated it. I was like, this stuff's really coming in handy. I just had a great workout. This lady's like, is that NutriKey? And I was like, in fact, it is.
Can I take it if I don't work out?
You could. It's probably going to give you wings, if you want me to be honest.
Dude, we need to go sue the shit out of Red Bull. Because that's just false.
Because that's false. NutriKey gives you wings.
If this gives me wings, and people can smell me, one, you know how much money I'll save on not buying cologne?
Hey, it obviously gives you wings because, let me tell you,
like,
that's
the
why
air that comes past me.
That's why that angel recognized me when I walked out of the gym. She probably saw the wings. The wings coming out.
For real. She might be the diamond wing next week.
Maybe it was my lats. Maybe it was those
wings.
Were
those the wings?
Maybe it was because my back's pretty...
You know, you can mistake
pretty fast, you know? I mean, if you want me to completely be honest
so is this like sold on like the black market or something? What'd you get?
You would think.
If this gives me wings, I would like go out of the States.
You can get these wing-giving...
pheromone-releasing...
fairy dust having supplements at TheNutriKey.com. And you know what? I'm going to do you guys a little favor. I'm really going to do you guys a favor here.
You're going to do it for free?
No, I can't do all that. I can't do it. I was like, I'd love to
I was like, I'm for sure getting one then. Like, what? What? So
35% off.
Oh.
35% off your entire order of
That's like some employee discount, yo.
That's some big discount. I'm giving you the inside scoop here. Use the promo code CHROMEVIP at TheNutriKey.com. You're going to get 35% off your whole order.
I mean, Christmas came
do you
late
want wings?
or early.
Do you want to give off a pheromone when you're in the gym?
Do you want to fly?
NutriKey is what you need to get.
I don't know.
All
what
right,
it's
so
I don't
so
know.
I'm just gonna. Hey, that speaks for itself. I don't think I
I
need
can't
to do
wait. I
any
need
any
to-
more talking on that.
like. Yeah, 35%.
35% off. That's a good percent. It's not 10%.
Yeah, I hate that when they say 10. It's like, dude, that's like my tax.
Yeah, it's like
Like, what are you gonna do?
Say, hey, do you want
Like-
3.4% off? I can get you
It's
that.
like,
Get out of my face.
Give me like a third. And like
35%. Over a third.
Dude. And this is not even like a. Is this like a special or is this
It's not-
like a.
this is all
This
the
is
time.
what like people viewing this can get.
This is
all
if
the
you're a
time.
viewer of this and you want NutriKey supplements, thenutrakey.com. 35% off. Chrome VIP. Use that promo code. Boom. That's it. All right, guys.
face,
Yeah.
wings, fly with your girl of your dreams. Bars.
So, any feedback you guys have about this podcast, positive,
Name this.
negative, if you've tried NutriKey and you like it,
And if you haven't gone wings, you're doing it wrong.
yeah, you didn't take it right. For there's the instructions on the back. It's not that hard.
Read.
Leave us comments, any positive, negative feedback about the whole podcast, anything you want to know, any topics you think we should give videos on. Like I said, just give us some constructive criticism here. We're looking for any feedback to make things better, to give you guys better content. If you hate us, if you loved us, let us know.
Both.
Whatever. Go back and forth with conversations with other commenters.
Whatever.
Whatever.
That is like the dream. Like start a conversation. Start thinking about this idea. Progressive thinking, unbiased, like open-minded, and just be respectful of each other and enjoy it. And we'll keep try to like entertain you guys and just give you guys the natural of what it is. Because we have good chemistry and we're good friends, so we think this comes pretty easy to us. So we're just trying to reach out and spread the love, spread the world, and the word to the world. Excuse me. And we'll just do more fun topics coming up.
Good vibes, guys. Good vibes. The Chrome and Ice Show.
We're out.
Out.